Hey guys, so today I'm really excited about our topic 5 healthy habits that will change your life. Now, if you know me, I don't measure health by what the scale says or what the mirror and the voices in your head are telling you, right? But there are certain things in our life that definitely contribute to living a healthy lifestyle. So, joining me today are two amazing people. They're truly a power couple. Help me welcome Jamil and Vanessa Hairston. Jamil is certified in personal training, nutrition, coaching, and bodybuilding. He is truly an expert in this craft. And Vanessa, she's a pastor and a health enthusiast. Together, they just have transformed the definition of health altogether. They're both a great example of what consistency and discipline and just love and dedication can do. So come on, grab a seat and join us as we discuss the 5 things that we can do today to change some of our habits. Hey guys!
Hi.
Super cheesy. Welcome to Messy Bun. You see the logo on the wall in our office. Yeah.
Trying to match with the bun today.
You know, I was trying to do a high bun today and it didn't work. So, you know, what's crazy is my messy buns, I feel like are mom mode. And then when I come out in public, I'm like, let me try to
right.
No, but welcome you guys, Vanessa, Jamil. I'm so excited to have you guys here. We have been talking about this for like the longest time, right? And part of that is we have a friendship that also has happened over the last few months, maybe a year, more than a year, right? It's been
more than a year.
Time. Yeah.
Few months, bro.
Dude,
credit.
It's 2022, bro. It's 2022.
When do we? I know. Mom brain, but I'm just so excited because health has been something that's been on my mind, on my heart, something that as I grow, I try to redefine for this season in my life, what does health really look like? You know, looking back at my health journey, I can tell you that it's been a long journey. So I'm Hispanic, right? I grew up in a Peruvian household. Everybody tries to guess where I'm from. So I'm from Peru. And I have an older brother and I have a twin brother, right? So I'm the only girl who's a princess of the household. But growing up, I think I would say when I was 10, I was put on my first diet ever. And I'll clearly remember Slim Fast being the diet that I was put on. The bars, the shakes, the meal replacements at 10, I remember being at these social family gatherings and the comments, right? Oh my gosh, está grande, like you're big, but it's not like how you think it to sound, right? Like it wasn't this way. It was like, this way. And so it was a very, it was messages that was sent to me, a lot of, you're not good enough. That's what I felt, It was a lot of also growing up. So as a girl, once your body parts, start to grow and blossom, and I'll just be honest for all the women, like when my boobs came in, it was such, for me, was traumatic because a lot of boys took attention. And there was this one point where, and I think for me, kind of understanding my body and appreciating it, it never happened because of the negative attention I got. I felt negative attention from the boys, right? It just made me feel way insecure, so what I'm being told at home, from my family, from the people that matter the most to me, from my body changing and the messages that I was getting from, all these boys to then growing up and society, and what it tells us is you need to look a certain way to be successful, So when I was a young adult, and I still am a young adult, right? I'm actually 35 going to 36. I can't believe it. But when I was younger, I know when I was younger, it had impacted me so much to the point that I felt if I can never be thin, like if I can never get rid of this weight, I won't be good enough to sing, to lead, to teach, to
Wow.
pastor, to be married. I'm married to somebody that's a lot thinner than I am, so it like compounds on top, and so now, as a mama to a 4-year-old, an active boy, um, I find myself in a season where I have to do the hard work of stripping it all away. All the things that I have learned in the 30 plus years need to be stripped away. I feel like a lot of women out there also may find themselves in a similar position. Maybe they too have been told this, you're not good enough or you're not thin enough. I remember being at like the National Honor Society, and as Hispanics, our parents take such pride in all of our accomplishments, right? Because they didn't have that growing up. And so it's almost like their dream is in us. But I remember being in this award ceremony, feeling so proud of myself. I was wearing this nice, little black dress, and my hair was done and everything. And what a family member told me um, when I was standing there, just kind of taking a deep breath and taking it all in. They were like, well, why can't you be like her? Because she's thin and she's smart. And I was like,
What? It is always when you're minding your own business, like you're just standing there. They love to drive by with these comments. It's ridiculous.
It's a
I'm
drive-by
so
comment.
sorry.
It's
Yep.
a drive-by comment.
So I know though, Vanessa and Jamel, I know that I am not the only one that has experienced comments like that or things like that in their own life. And so for those of you that are listening in, I just want to give you permission to kind of feel that, but also give you permission to release it, to learn something new. And that's where Jamil and Vanessa walked in on my life. I was at this point where COVID was happening. I had, I don't know how old Wally was, maybe 2 at that time, but he was getting pretty active. And my focus when I had Wally and gave birth to him was not to bounce back. Like it was just to be present with him because women were like breastfeeding, schedule changes, sleep and shower and cook. And oh yeah, husband, like all of a sudden our husbands, kind of take a different role. I don't want to say the backseat because they should never, take the backseat, but we're all learning, right? We're all learning how to communicate now under these new pressures. And so I could feel myself in motherhood, like the voices started coming back. And very briefly, you guys know my story about the suicidal thinking, but it was almost like those voices were getting louder and stronger again. And I remember praying, like, God, I cannot go back there again. Like, that is just not an option for me again. And as I prayed that, I was scrolling through Instagram, and long and behold, Jamil's page pops up. And here we are, like this guy who is like buff and like fit, but his wife too, right? So it's like both of you have this beautiful ministry. And so God really led me to you guys. And the one thing that Jamil asked me when I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I need help, was the why. He was like, why? What is your why? And Jamil, I don't know if you know how much that question impacted me, but it really had me thinking the why, because so many years, I feel like my health journey hasn't lasted, or a lot of times I have like such up and downs. It's because my whys are like based on everyone else or their comments or what they think instead of just me. It's not about me. I want to please, my husband. I want to please my parents. I want to fit in a size 2, like whatever it is. I feel like a lot of times it's that. And so, Jamil, do you remember when we started working out and there was, I don't know if I sent you this picture of Wally on my back when I was like doing push-ups, and I don't know, I I don't know if you remembered that. And so when I had reached out to you, I was really in this season of God, what is health? Like clearly I have to keep up with my son. He likes to play, he likes to run, but mama is having a hard time, So how do I replace that thinking, right, with not how do I get thinner, but how do I get stronger, right? And so Wally has been my biggest inspiration on these journeys, realizing that everything I do, he not only sees, but he mimics. So when mommy started working out, this kid was working out. Like I slept over my in-laws' house once because our heater or water broke or something. And I was like, well, mommy's going to work out. And Wally, I think I called Jamil right after because I was like in such disbelief. But Wally would get on the ground and he started doing my routine, the push-ups, the sit-ups, and I don't know what else, the squats, I think. And he was like, okay, I'm done. And I was like, I can't believe he just did that routine. Like, obviously he didn't do like 100 of each one, but he like knew the routine. And I didn't tell him, what to do. And even from him eating protein, he's like, oh, I need my muscles, mom, and he knows. And so anyways, I want to hand it over to you guys now because you guys are the experts. You guys know this, I've shared with you guys, Jamil's certified, he knows what he's doing. And so he is not just coming from a place of love and faith and inspiration for you guys, as well as Vanessa, but they're also certified to do this. And so as experts in this, I want to ask you guys, for anyone that may be in a similar position as me or on a similar journey, what could you share with us? Like, what are some things that we could do to kind of change our health, like turn it around, right? Because sometimes it just takes that one change to shift our perspective and to see that change is possible, right? So what are some things you guys can share with us to help us on this journey?
I just want to first say thank you for having us. Really appreciate it. Even though we're friends, it's still a big deal, to have us on Messy Bun. Like I don't even have a bun and I'm on this show. So I feel
That's how
pretty
you're loved.
Yeah, man, I feel pretty grateful for the opportunity. When it comes to health, to answer your question, I think this is going to sound really simple, but it's not, unfortunately. I would say the first step is to start. And I will elaborate on why I'm saying that. Again, this isn't something that's like, oh man, mic drop, your mind is blown. But to start, and what I've learned is a lot of times if people do not feel like they will be successful or they will be perfect, then they don't want to start.
Right.
Come on.
So the fears of the unknown actually keeps them from starting. Even if they are saying, well, right now I only have time to work out twice a week. But like when I really want to take my health journey seriously, I want to at least work out 5 days a week. So instead of starting with 2, they don't start because they can't do 5.
Wow.
Right. Wow. So this is something that I see a lot. I see it in myself as well. There are things that God is calling me to do in my life and as a man. And a lot of times it's hard to start because what if I don't get it right the first time? What if it's not instant success? What if I have to fail a little bit? What if there's a learning curve that sucks? But then after that learning curve, then I'm in a position where I'm going to be better off and this is going to be beneficial for me. But starting is hard because we're afraid of a learning curve. That's just the thing. So we don't like being uncomfortable. Something I say all the time to my friends and to my clients is learn how to find comfort in discomfort.
I was wondering how long was going to take him in this conversation to say that. I was like, maybe like 10 minutes in. No, I didn't even make it to that.
Learn how to find comfort in discomfort, because there are going to be a lot of times, and I've talked to Jackie about this, our workouts aren't just helping her get stronger for the next workout. our workouts are helping her get stronger for the next adversity. Our workouts are helping her get stronger for opportunities where she has to be resilient. And when something happens that's unexpected and it's heartbreaking and it gets to her, the grit, the concentration, the resiliency that we're building in the workout, she's still going to be able to apply that in life. And that's what I try to instill in the people that I work with.
It's so true because
So I would say the first thing, start, man.
Yes. So I was going to share this too is okay, let me say it. How do I say this? Because I do cry after having Wally, but I don't cry in front of people. Like that's not my thing. And I went through a very difficult family situation where my niece was moving to a whole different country. And I have to say, for the first time ever, I didn't realize how grief or sadness is also not just emotional, but physical. And I remember that morning working out with Jamil, and it all, like, literally, as I was working out, just came out. And Jamil, you were so gracious in that moment just to give me the space and respect, to kind of honor the grief. But it was also such a freeing thing that in that movement, in that workout, to let go physically of all of that, it was amazing. So, but I love what you said. Get started, get started, get started, no matter where you think you are. Yeah, I love that.
Exactly. And I'll have to add to that because I think people, especially with social media, get so caught up in a swivel, like their head is on a swivel, right? They're always looking to the people to their right, people that, are where they want to be, people that they're like, well, I'm glad I'm not there, right? Like their head is always turning. And so my advice would be start and remember that your journey is just yours, right?
Amen.
So like, especially in the way we were created, I think God is he's a very consistent God, right? So things always add up. So like if you're telling me each person has their own fingerprint,
Wow.
right?
Yes.
Each person has their own mannerism. There's no one on earth that has the same structure cellularly as you do, right? Like there's only one me. There's only one Jackie. There's only one Jamil. Oh, look, all the J's in the room. Right. Like the same is going to go with your health journey, and to be encouraged that like, it's going to look like your journey and it's not going to look like anyone else's. Now, there are going to be some tips to apply, a system that you can kind of work in that work for a lot of people, sleeping, eating the quantities you need to eat, working out in a specific way, whatever. Like, yes, you can apply things, but it's always going to look specific to you. So like Jackie's journey, there were some things I resonated with as a Hispanic, but mine was the opposite problem. So I never had to be put on a diet. I was always like, you need to eat more, right? Because I was always flaquita, huesita, right? Which is like bony, like you're very bony. Oh, you're so bony, right?
Daggers.
Yeah, like he always says my elbows are daggers. And like, for me, like some people might think like, oh, like, are you complaining because you were skinny? And I'm not, like, but that's the way that God created me. Was I've always been very thin. I've always been very, very thin. I didn't have the Jackie problem. My boobs never came in. Right. So I've just been thin this whole time. I didn't have that negative attention. I didn't have any attention. I'm just kidding. And so for me, I would look up, like, I remember in college, I would look up at like a pull-up bar and be like, what would it be like to like get my chin over that bar? And then I had friends who they're just naturally, they held more muscle, right? And they would like a week of working out and they like were defined, they had cut, right? Or they had abs, or they're like, oh yeah, like, if I just work out for 2 weeks on abs, like I'll have abs, right? And I'm over here looking down like, man, I can't even, like, I've just drawn them on, right? That's just like imagined what it would look like. But they would like so easily, like I've never really done this before. And they'd pull themselves up and there's a pull up, right? And I'm like, how do they do that? So for me, and let me just say this, I'm not an expert. Jamil's the one that has like all of the certifications, but I've been able to be a part of his journey and he's been my trainer for all this time. So I call myself a fitness enthusiast, right? Like I really love fitness, health, all of that. I think it's been transformational for me in a way that maybe other women who are listening to this might relate to. Like you've always just been the small one. Like you've never really had a lot of mass.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've been made fun of because you've been, straight. People call you a board, people, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was like, how does this journey affect me? Some people are trying to lose weight. I'm trying to gain it. Mm-hmm. And where Jamil if this is so funny, I don't know if for those who are going to watch, like, it looks like I'm taller than Jamil, but I'm not. He's just so heavy, full of muscle. He's literally sinking into the couch, right? I'm not. I'm very light. So I look taller in the video. But this just goes to show, like, Jamil's body type, like, for him, he holds a lot of muscle. He holds a lot of mass, and easily. The man can retain his...
I can gain fat.
Yeah. He can retain his mass for a long amount of time. Like, if he doesn't work out, if he gets sick, if he hurts himself, like, and he doesn't work out for, say, a month, he could retain similar mass. Me, girl, I get sick and 3-4 days later, I lose a pound. And I'm like, a pound of muscle that I worked so hard for. It's so frustrating, but it just goes to show. But then for me, like, Jamil has to be a little bit careful. Like, maybe he can't have the whole donut. He can only have half a donut, but I can have 3 donuts.
Oh my gosh.
So
give and take.
So I've had to customize my goals. I've had to customize my workouts. My workouts don't look the same, right? For me, not that cardio, I dislike it or think people don't do it, but for me, a cardio helps me lose weight. So, like, I don't implement cardio maybe as much. HIIT workouts are not my thing. More so like weight training. That's kind of something I lean into. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was like interesting to find my own journey. And like, your start is going to look different, right? Mm-hmm. Your start is going to look... Jamil's start, he was a gymnast, right? For many, many years. And he did that. How many hours a day?
Probably like 2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours a day. And what was a typical, like, workout, just to give an idea of people?
A typical workout.
Or like typical practice.
I would be doing handstands. I would be tumbling. I would have to lift girls over my head. So I'm doing everything basically. It's like cross training, because you have cardio, because you get the cardio from tumbling and from flipping, and you run before you tumble. So I'm getting the cardio there. I'm getting strength training because I have to lift myself. I have to do handstands. I have to hold myself, for a certain amount of time. Then I'm doing strength training as well, because now I'm not just lifting myself. Now I'm lifting like foreign objects, not being sexist or anything, but like, I'm lifting women and stuff who are not me. They're not
aliens.
They're not foreign objects. I'm just saying, like, to give you the example of lifting weights. Like, I'm lifting them for certain moves. That's just like one practice, So I'm doing that regularly. I never worked out.
You never had to work out.
I never worked out
because he was doing it all there, right?
Yeah.
So, and every day was different. Every day he was doing something else. So that was for him, like, very engaging. It kept his attention, and he was training for something.
Yeah.
He was training for a show, for a routine, to get a specific move. And so that was him, right? Mm-hmm. I'm over here like, I can't touch my toes to save my life, right? So gymnastics was not my thing. Yeah. I was always like basketball, that kind of thing. But when I went to college, they didn't have that other than intramurals. So then I started to kind of figure stuff out in the gym, just use like regular people kind of read.
You were working out before me.
Yeah, I was working out before him. And I would like, on days that I didn't have the gym, I would just use videos, right? Mm-hmm. And so for me, videos were fine. But like when Jamil quit gymnastics, I tried to get him onto these videos and he was like not having it. And I was like, is it a guy thing that like somebody else is telling you what to do? And that's why you don't want to do it? Like, is that really humble thyself? Right? No, but he just didn't like it because he was like, what's the point? I don't know, Jackie, do you like videos? Is that a thing that you've done?
I do. But I also like group exercises. So videos depends. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I feel like for the most part, women kind of find like, community in that. Mm-hmm. They see other people suffering, or they just don't know what to do and they don't have the confidence to go into a gym. And so doing something at home that's challenging and having someone tell them exactly what to do, like it really worked. Right. So for me, I was like, I was like, okay, I lost 15 pounds, that I gained a little bit in high school, but it wasn't anything dramatic. It was just like dorm food, right? So
Mhm.
if you eat Pop-Tarts 10 times a day, you're going to gain something. Even if you're small, you're going to gain it.
Yeah,
So,
man.
Nature.
and so I was like, wow, like that was really inspiring for me. But then it was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just gonna follow this thing. So then Jamil quit gymnastics, and he was like, no, like I'm not gonna do these videos, right? And so he didn't. Like he did them maybe like 3 weeks with me, and he was like, no, like this is not for me. So then he just didn't work out, right?
Wow.
But the problem was that he was sustaining the appetite, not the appetite.
I had the same nutrition I had
Yes.
when I was being super active.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't being active because I had quit the gymnastics team.
Correct. So now he, because of his body type, unlike mine, right, he gains mass, both fat and muscle, very easy. So he gained weight and, didn't really notice, like maybe saw like, some shirts are fitting him. And like the way his body is like, he's still pretty muscular. But, for me, I'm on this journey. I'm doing this thing. That was my start. It looked specific to me. It didn't look like his. I liked things that he didn't like, things that worked for me. But what worked for him, I mean, I don't want to tell your story, but we went and we got a stomach bug.
Oh, no, yeah, you're skipping forward, bro. Skipping forward.
Go ahead.
Well,
fill it in.
Need a second point.
Go ahead.
This is still the first point. So yeah, okay. Second
point.
Within, yes.
Second tip. So we've discussed what was the first tip. There were 2 first tips, but they kind of went on with each other. Do you remember?
Of course.
Okay, you just don't want to say it? All right. I thought you were going to like tag team.
No, you go.
That you're going to tag team with me. Okay, first tip is to start. And Vanessa paired with that one, your journey is your journey. So don't be looking to the left and right, focused on what other people are doing. Your journey is your journey. So moving to the second tip after start, I would say it's important to study yourself, if that makes any sense. And I'll elaborate what I mean by that. So second tip, study yourself. We went to Oregon because we had to speak for it was a youth event. Yeah, we had to speak for a youth event. We ended up getting a virus there, throwing up, diarrhea, stuff like that. Maybe TMI, but too late.
Lovely.
And then after that, I had lost like 7 pounds. And this is around the time where I wasn't working out at all.
Right.
So I'm just gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight. And I'm like, yo, it is what it is. I have a workout depression because I'm not in gymnastics anymore for my entire life.
That's all you knew.
That was it. Like that was my activity. It was just sports. So the minute I quit the gymnastics team, I had nothing to train for. So like, why would I work out? She's doing these videos and I'm like, I'm just going to do the videos so that I can say, wow, like, look, I learned how to do a video. Like, how is that practical?
Exactly.
It's not very appealing to me. So I just wasn't working out. So I lost 7 pounds and I felt a little leaner. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, okay, well, I lost 7 pounds. I feel lean. My clothes are fitting me a little different. And I don't have the same appetite. So now I go into this process, this stage of like just studying myself and focusing on the details a little bit. And it's just small, right? So again, our first step, just starting. This is still connected to that. It's starting. But then the first step is kind of just like studying yourself. I'm not following a set diet plan. I'm not looking at what Instagram has to say or Facebook or Google. Yeah. This is just me.
It's almost like taking inventory. Like you're
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Taking inventory. That's what it's like. So I'm there. I've lost the 7 pounds. And I remember having a conversation with Vanessa saying, I don't have the same appetite as I used to have. And I'm thinking, I want to test something out. It's just a small test. I want to start only eating the serving sizes of things. That's it.
That's printed on the box or on the.
Yes.
I said, instead of just like pouring oatmeal and you just pouring oatmeal and being like,
what I did all the time.
Yeah. All right. This looks like it's at the top of the bowl. Now let's make it.
That's very Hispanic. Yeah. Too.
Dude. Okay. Just real quick. The story on serving sizes. When I first started dating Tony, I took him to his first like potluck And you know how we Adventists do haystacks all the time, right? And I was tasked with buying all the ingredients. And so I go, Tony, grab some chips because we need some chips. He comes back with one bag and he's like, it says that there's 10 servings in here, so we're good. And I was like, what are you doing? So I made him go back and grab some more. But I'm like, sometimes those serving sizes feel like a little skewed. But anyways, Jamil was following. So anyways, sorry, Jamil, but you were following the serving size. So this is your
I was like, I'm just going to test something out. I'm just going to follow serving sizes and I'm not going to go overboard. I just want to eat and I want to see if I can be full just following serving sizes. So that was all we did. I just started measuring things. I didn't have an app or anything.
Right. This is before tracking. This is for macronutrients. This is for all of it.
I'm not doing anything extreme.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing. No keto. No.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Instead of pouring cereal into the bowl, I'm like looking at the back of the box, like, oh, this is a cup. All right, let me get out a cup and then do. Like I'm literally just like the bare minimum.
Not
I'm
even
just
a scale. Yeah.
No food scale. Just trying to follow the bare minimum stuff. And I was like, okay, I need to also see what happens. Because I remember telling her, and this is about the inventory and studying yourself.
Yeah.
I remember that I used to be leaner. And I felt like what helped with that was the fact that I had a lot of cardio in gymnastics. And even though maybe I lifted something, sometimes I'd wake up in the morning again when I was like overweight and I would do some push-ups and I was like, all right, this is good. You know, like I was good after that. But I was like, that doesn't compare to what I was doing in gymnastics. I think I think a link to that, like something that I'm seeing was I did more cardio in gymnastics than I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm just very sedentary. So in the beginning, I wasn't even doing any strength training, to be honest. And I'm not saying this is good or not, but it's like what I said, you're just studying yourself, taking inventory. I would just run 3 miles every morning. I just started. I wanted to do something that was consistent as well. So we had a treadmill.
Right, because we were in Berrien Springs, and he was like, "Well,"
and I was like,
"Michigan." For those,
I said, I'm not going to be running consistently when it starts snowing, so that's going to ruin all my results. So I want to choose something that I'm going to be able to see for a long period of time, and that it will be hard to make an excuse for. Right. So that's when we got the treadmill, and I started doing.
And he was a trooper because we couldn't afford anything, so we got like a tiny treadmill. So the man was running like this. Because it was so small.
Yeah, it was.
I can picture it.
Yeah, it was.
But he did it.
It was definitely. And I did it regularly, and I started seeing the scale go down. And again, disclaimer: I'm not saying this is the way to do it. I'm just giving an example of what it's like to start, and then because now I look back at that and I'm like, man, I could have done this. I could have done this. But all that knowledge has come with time. Right now, I'm just testing stuff out. I just started. That's it. I was just starting. Then I was like, I can run consistently on a treadmill that is inside because it doesn't matter what the weather is. It could be raining. It could be snowing. The treadmill's inside. I have no reason. And I guess that's another thing that I want to share in this second point is making the bad decisions hard and the good decisions easy. Right. Yeah. So if you know that you have an obsession with peanut butter and you know if it's in your cabinet, you're going to finish jars within one day. Wow. Then for that person, it's probably best to not have peanut butter in the pantry because they know, at least for now.
Stop talking to me.
You know, at
not
least
down this street.
At least for now, they don't have the self-control yet or the discipline
so good
to be able to only follow the serving size for it. So they're making that decision easier for themselves because it's not in the house.
And notice what he's saying. He's not saying you're never going to have peanut butter in the house. Yeah. He says you currently are assessing, I don't have the discipline yet.
Yeah.
Right? That's not to say that I cannot ever have the discipline. I just need to know that in this space and time where I am in my journey, not yet. But check in with me 6 months from now. Check in with me a year from now when I built up some resilience, when I built up some discipline. You had a story about that, Jackie, right? With like ice cream, the ice cream store or something.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yes. Ice cream. Okay. I feel like everything's my thing, but ice cream and chocolate are like very on the top
Come on,
there.
talk about it.
And I remember anytime I go into a store, if I was feeling stressed, so you're talking about inventory. I'm like the whole time I'm like, this is so good. You guys want to get started, right? Inventory. So I remember this was during the time that I was starting my journey with Jamil, and I also was taking inventory. Okay, why am I always feeling the need to have to go to ice cream? Like if I'm having a good day with Wally, have to get ice cream. If it's a bad day, I have to get ice cream. If it's a whatever day, and I would always try to take him almost like I want to treat him and I'm eating through him, but I'd always walk out somehow with ice cream anyways for myself. It was very hard to be disciplined in that area, like you guys were saying. But when I started really taking a look at it, I would tell myself, well, I don't need it, like just not today. And I will never forget what, and then maybe I'm jumping ahead 10 points here, Jamil, but one of the things that I have gained from working with you was the sense of freedom. And I will never forget the first time I walked into that ice cream store with Wally, and I was just like, I don't need, there's a difference between white knuckling it and being like, oh no, I'm not going to get anything. But that first time I walked in and the decision was mine, the power was mine to be like, I don't need it. Like, I really don't need it. And so even now, like very rarely do I feel like I have to have, you guys, maybe I don't want to say you don't understand, but every time I would always have to have ice cream. And now to be in my life where that has been removed and there's a sense of freedom of, I don't need it, is amazing. So yeah. Yeah, but there had to be that period. You're right. Where I wasn't going to the ice cream store like every day, or
Exactly.
that wasn't my reaction. Yes, and then it happens. It's like the miracle, right? If you're consistent and you stay and you work and you put in that time, the miracle comes along. I think a lot of us are just don't show up, right? A lot of us aren't willing to do the hard work, to sacrifice, to see that miracle come through. And so, yeah, but it's,
or we
it's
say,
best
I've
feeling.
never done it before. So who's going to say like, I'll be able to do it? Like I've never been able to say no to ice cream.
Right.
Right. So I'm never going to be able to say no, and you defeat yourself before you start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dropping those gems. Y'all need to stop. No, don't. Let's keep going.
3.
Número 3.
Third step, consistency over intensity.
Oh, I love this point.
Me too.
Consistency over intensity. And I will explain what I mean by this. You can see someone who has not worked out, let's say 2-3 years, and their friend invites them to, and I'm not dissing any form of exercise. I'm just giving an example. Let's say their friend invites them to their CrossFit gym, right? And they do a CrossFit WOD with them. And they cannot move afterwards. They threw up like a bunch of things, right? Like they threw up there. They are just sick. They cannot walk. They can't even sit on the toilet the next day, like stuff like that. Like they're broken. A lot of times we can feel successful from that experience. Like, wow, like I really worked hard. That was so intense.
Yeah, that tore me up.
Because it was so intense. You did this on Monday. You can actually start moving again because you're paralyzed from Monday through Friday, right? Like when you're actually able to just sit like down without being in pain, it's Friday. To me, that's not beneficial. That's not optimal because at the end of the day, you just missed 5 days, bro. But you felt really proud of that intense session, but it was hard to be consistent because the intensity was so high. So what I prefer is for someone who's not worked out 2 to 3 years, again, you're trying to get back into working out again. How about you do something that's like 15 to 20 minutes, kind of see how you feel, warm yourself up, get into it, because 20 may be easy 2 weeks from now. But hey, if you look at it, you did 20 minutes 5 days in the week.
Right.
Each time. Yo, that's more than that hour CrossFit session that you did that made you have to like rest for the rest of the week. So for me, consistency over intensity simply means starting with something that you can be consistent with and starting slow. There's you don't need to prove yourself.
Right.
There's no competition of, well, nah, man, that workout looks too soft. Like, I don't want to post that on social media. If I'm gonna post something on social media, it needs to look impressive. It's like, bro, like you haven't worked out in 2 to 3 years. Just doing one thing. Just doing one thing. Something is better than nothing. I think that's what a lot of us have to realize. Something is better than nothing. So you weren't working out for 2 to 3 years. You actually did a workout. Don't feel bad because it was only 20 minutes.
Right.
You should be proud of yourself.
Right.
Like that was something that you did. You made time for. That was self-care. You took 20 minutes out of the day to actually work out, get your heart rate up. Consistency over intensity. That's what I say all the time. Consistency over intensity. If you can do something consistently, I don't care how intense that one session was if you can't do it consistently. I'd rather you do something and you do it and you look back and you're like, man, like that was kind of too easy. All right, add some time then. That 20-minute session, you felt like, man, like I just wanted to do more. The next day, how about let's make it 25? The 25 session, you're like, man, I don't really like that as much. Like I feel like I had more in the tank. Maybe go to 30. But I would rather someone have to add to their program because it's too easy than burn out in the beginning.
And just quit altogether. Yeah.
Yeah, she did that same thing. She started with videos, 20 minutes, T25, like dying, could barely get through it, kept looking at other programs. Nah, that's too long. Nah, 40 minutes. Nah, it's too long. And now, like, yeah, there are days where she's too busy, but now she's doing 50, 55-minute workouts, right? Wow. And she's, she's chilling, right? And my mom's like, she just turned 50 this year. That's so awesome. She's not like the young buck in the room, but I'm so proud of her. Yeah. And for me, I've applied that consistency over intensity specifically to the type of training that is like we were talking about. I started and in my journey is my own. And like I used to just be very haphazard with like what I was doing, videos, gym machines, a whole day dedicated to abs, like just doing what I thought was right. Yeah. It's like no shade to those who do that. I was there. But now I'm like, wow, like there's so much beauty in training the same thing, 1 or 2 times a week, every week, because I see growth in that one thing. Like
I was just going to say that. Yeah. Because I remember, Tony would be like, you're doing push-ups again, not in a negative way. Right. But he was just like, here you go, 100 push-ups again, but every week I remember like seeing the progress. And then when Wally would get on my back, I'd be like, oh, I got this, Yes. But it's true. If you're consistent in the same thing, you'll see the change. I think a lot of people may even just start with walking, right? So there's just different forms of whatever, like what you guys are saying, it's wherever you are now. Right. This is what I'm hearing, wherever you are right now. So that's part of starting, assessing, right. And then just finding something that you can be consistent in it's going to be key. It's going to be key because here's the thing is in our faith walk, in our life walk, we're never on the same plane ever. Right. And that's how it is too. Right. We want to be at a place where we can always grow. And so it'll, I feel like that is so important. What you guys are saying can change our perspective and how we're thinking about this health journey, and just everything is being consistent, but also finding that thing we can be consistent in. Honesty is going to be key, I think, for a lot of us too in this health journey, right? If we can't be honest, if we're going to kind of lie behind the emotions or the food or whatever it is, it's going to be hard to find the healing that we need. But I think part of that in terms of being consistent and assessing, we've got to be honest with ourselves. So.
And this really applies to food as well, because a lot of people will go on, diets that you were put on when you were young, which is slim fast, right? And that's a very intense diet. So it's like only bars, shakes, and meal replacements, for a set amount of time. And it's intense. You maybe lose a lot of weight in that time. But what happens is that it's not sustainable. So it can never be consistent. And so with food, it's the same thing of like, how can I know, like Jamil, when he started, he was like, I know that I can forever look at the serving size and eat the serving size. That's something that I can do tomorrow, today, a year from now. Right. And it was consistent as opposed to very intense, which I'm going to cut out all the carbs that I was eating. I'm going to cut out all the, Vanessa, I don't want any more sugar, although he did try that. And I was like, nope. It's like, as a baker, no. Sorry, bud. I'm going to cut out all sugar, no fruits for me, or, these things that people do. And it's like, some people are very well-meaning, or they just are ignorant. They just don't know, but it's so intense, but it's not sustainable. It's not consistent. So it can be applied to other areas in health and wellness as well.
Right. Awesome.
So that's 3. We got 2 more, right?
Drop him.
Nah, bro, you got it.
Right. So 4, accountability.
Ain't nobody like that. Next. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. 4, accountability, because I think we are encouraged in society to pick ourselves up by our own bootstraps. Is that what they call it? Right?
Yep.
Our own bootstraps. And just be isolated, and you need to do it on your own because you can't rely on other people and all this other stuff. And there's some truth to that, but at the same time, I think if there's anything that the Bible encourages, it's community and accountability. So when you're making a decision that is going to affect your health long term, it's going to be a part of your fitness journey, your health journey.
Yeah.
To have accountability for that is golden. I think it's necessary, because when you have accountability, it's almost as if you are making yourself you're putting yourself in a position to be successful, essentially. Because if you're in it on your own, a lot of times when people don't have accountability, you wake up in the morning, it's 5 a.m, and you don't feel like working out. When you don't have any accountability,
no one's going to meet you there.
Come on, somebody.
If you sleep, no one's hurt by it. You're not hurt by it because you wanted to go to sleep. So it's a win-win, right? When you have accountability, then that's that extra thought in your mind of, I don't feel like doing this. Oh, wait, this person's going to be there. Or not even, let's say they're not even there. This person's going to text me today and ask if I did it.
Yep.
And I'm going to have to tell them no or lie. So I have to make that decision.
Yeah.
Like, wow, like that accountability, you've already put yourself in a situation to be successful. Like you put yourself in the position to really succeed, because now it's not just left up to your self-control, your discipline, but now you have this external motivation and external accountability in someone else. Wow. So I would say that is an important step, whether it's, having goals and finding a personal trainer, having goals and finding a friend who has the same goals, but they've been afraid to pursue their goals. So now you guys are accountability partners, whether it's just a change of scenery. So you know that you're going to be more accountable if you are in, I don't know, a complex where there's a gym, like right next to your house, because there's a complex gym. Like already, like, wow, like I just made it really easy for myself to be able to work out. So if I don't go, like, that's just on me. Like there are a bunch of ways to hold yourself accountable and look for accountability. Yeah. But I think it's extremely important. and it really makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like one of the hardest things, because we just talked about honesty, right? I think it's like one of the hardest things if we haven't truly assessed where we're coming from, what our struggles are, then it's hard to bring that honesty to a place of accountability, right? And
Exactly.
so I like the steps that you guys are sharing. I think it's so important, but accountability, I think is definitely key. My mother-in-law started doing some workouts for her back, and it's funny because it's summertime, and she usually takes off and goes to the beach for a little. And she was like, "Yeah, I'll call them when I get back." And Tony, I thought he was gonna like jump over the counter. He was like, "Don't do it. You got to still work out with her," because his whole thing was accountability, right? He's like, you are going to lose all the work that you worked so hard to make, the progress to make and all of that. And if you lose that partner, it's not so much sure, you gain strength, maybe weight loss, whatever it was, but his whole thing was making sure that you have somebody to be accountable to. So that's so true. So true.
Huge.
Awesome.
So find an accountability partner.
Yes. Key.
Yeah. And our last point, and I love every point, but I love this point a lot too. It's less about what and more about who. So who you become in this health and wellness process is going to be more important than what you're going to do or what you're going to look like at the end. Because I think what's so powerful, Jackie, about your journey is that at some point you had to say, no, for me now though, right? Like you had to say, I'm not doing this for what other people have said, or they think I should do, or what I'm going to look like at the end. Like you said, you had come to like, I don't want to bounce back. Like your desire was more focus in on Wally and like being the best mother you could be so that you could be active with him, take him to the park, run around with him, and do that not just when he's little, but in his, as he grows up. Right. And so a lot of people can really focus in on the end result. Like, I want to look like this. I want to be able to have this cut. Or for me, I was really focused on abs for a long time, to the point where I was eating very little a day and getting really lightheaded. And I had to come to the point of like, why am I doing this? Right. Is it about the person I'm going to become, or is it about what I'm going to look like? Yeah. And then it's not worth it. Like for me, it wasn't worth it, and I'm still smaller, but it just, for me, I had to make that decision and remind myself of like who I'm becoming in this process, the person I'm becoming. Jackie, you became the person that no longer needed ice cream, right? Or you became a person that for your child was an example of getting your protein intake, of working out on a daily basis, becoming more patient or resilient in processes, of being a person who's free. You don't think that that's going to affect the way you mother, the way you wife?
100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean, there are days where I have to catch myself because I feel I have a patience issue, and God gave me, blessed me with this kid. Right. But everybody knows that's in motherhood. Their kids are like the prime tools for giving us, this bandwidth of patience. And on the days where I feel the worst about myself physically, my self-esteem, whatever it is, I tend to yell more at Wally. Just have these not yell at him. I don't want to sound like I'm always yelling at him, but I'll have this outburst. Like he'll spill something on the floor intentionally, right? Because kids do that. Instead of me being like, oh, hey, I will lose it. And when I assess, oh my gosh, where did that monster come from? Like, who is that? I have realized that a lot of times it's when I'm not happy with me, this week I had, and if I'm being honest and transparent, is I am not in the health journey that I want to be in now. Right. And so this is why this is so healing and helpful, not just for me, but I hope for others too, of how do we get back on track? Like, how do we refocus where we need to focus? But where I come from, right, I'll call it my disease, is I tend to wire in on the very small detail of what I don't like about myself. So I'll say, oh my gosh, my double chin, I can't do this talk with you guys. What are you guys going to say about me? You know, like, and I remember sitting on the couch yesterday or driving, and I was very like silent, and Tony can sense, because we've been together for 14 years now. He can sense when something is up. What's wrong? Nothing, you know.
Right, typical back and forth.
They know when women say nothing, it's never nothing. But I too have realized, right, when I am at my healthiest, right, that is, I am clearer in my mind. I am a lot more present. I'm happier, right? And part of it has to do with positive endorphins from when you work out. So the who I'm becoming is really somebody that I want to be. But because I haven't been on that, my mind all week, like really guys, all week has been like, I'm fat, I'm unworthy. Again, the same thoughts I had. I can't preach, I can't teach, I can't lead, I can't sing, I'm not. And those thoughts were not serving me. And so yesterday, as I was in the car with Tony, I remember thinking, this is not helping me. What can I do? And so instead I said, thank you, God, that even though this trigeminal neuralgia, my nerve pain has come back, thank you, God, that I can still walk. Because there are times where the pain is so bad, like even the movement of me walking triggers it and I can't, right? And so I really had to say, thank you, God, for this body that is fighting as hard as it can. Thank you, God, for this body that can still be present with Wally and can still enjoy being on the floor with him. Thank you, God, for this body that is still processing, you know, nutrients and food, and I can still eat, even though it's painful. Like, thank you, God, that I can get it down and it's not that terrible where I can't, right? And so I feel like the shift for me is I find being in gratitude to be helpful, but also when I'm in that who, right? Who am I becoming? I automatically am in that place of gratitude already. But when I'm not, right, those negative thoughts tend to slip in easily. So I feel like it's important to also bring up, right? How do we shift back out of that is gratitude, right? And thanking our bodies, because we have it. Some of us can walk, some of us are able to eat, some of, you know, and it's crazy to hear what happens around the world or what other people are facing, but it's true, you know, not to compare, but there are so many other things our bodies could be suffering with that they aren't. And so we have a lot to be grateful, you know, for where we are right now. So yeah. I love it, guys. I love it so much. It's I feel like it's so helpful. So one of the things I want to ask you guys as we close is you know, what has been your anchor in your health journey through all of this? What has been the one thing that has anchored you, you know, that has kept you consistent, that has kept you accountable? Like, what is that one thing you can share with us that has been your anchor through this whole journey for you?
Yeah. God told me to befriend faithfulness a few months ago. And I've not let go of that because I think for my personality and someone who's come from gymnastics, I'm very performance based and I'm thinking about the end goal. Like, you know, what am I going to get because of working out? Right. What am I going to achieve? What's the reward going to be? And that reminder to just befriend faithfulness is exactly what I needed for the time that I was in, because that um, doesn't refer to a necessary like reward or something that I'm going to get in the future, but instead it's just a lifestyle. I need to have a lifestyle of befriending faithfulness. I mean, you look at the story of Enoch, right? All you see in the Bible is that he walked with God faithfully. And then God took him to heaven with him. Like that. Wow. We don't see any crazy battles that he was a part of. He was this warrior king, or he split seas. And no, literally, you just see he walked faithfully with God.
Wow.
And then did end up in heaven. So it's like, man, like befriending faithfulness. Like, what if God is just calling me to be faithful? What if working out? What if eating healthy? What if paying attention to my nutrition. What if I don't ever win anything for that? But that's just what God's calling me to do, to just befriend faithfulness, to be faithful to him, just walk faithfully with him for the rest of my life. So that's kind of my anchor personally.
That's powerful. And mine would be using grace generously and appropriately. And so for someone like me, I like to make excuses. That's why I like finding comfort in discomfort is like, I hate that, right? Because I don't like to find discomfort or ever.
Right.
So even less finding comfort in it. So it's, for me, it's been anchoring to not use grace as an excuse, right? An excuse to indulge in behavior that I know is destructive for myself, firstly, but to use grace generously, especially on days that I can't show up, like I can't work out, or didn't have the best nutrition day that I wanted to. And I use grace generously because it's a reminder that on those days, I am not less worthy. My worth is not diminished because I didn't, lift weights over my head today.
Come on, somebody.
Or just because I ate one more slice of pizza than I had wanted to, or even budgeted for in my macros that day, doesn't mean that now God has disqualified me from the good things he's had before me, because he is the author and finisher of my faith.
Come on.
Right. And so it's a matter of reminding myself that grace covers, right? And that I am not more or less of a person, more or less worthy because of what I do or fail to do. And that has been, for me, it's been a life-changing thing. And I know you only said one thing, but just find something you really like to do. Because I really like to train. What Jamil has done for me is created a love in like what I'm doing now. And so like, I look forward to, okay, how much am I going to grow today? So it is not burdensome for me.
Yeah. I was going to say, I love how you do that 3-year comparison, or I shouldn't say comparison, but 3-year growth for yourself to show how far. A lot of times, Jamil will remind me too, health journey is not linear. Like life, we know life isn't a linear journey, right? But same thing for health, it is not linear. And I am starting to see that, but I think what I love about your video, Vanessa, what it really resonated with me is a lot of times we hear about these celebrities in a year, blank, 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 they started a New Year resolution and now they're like a size, whatever. And of course, these people are probably doing this for a lot more time during the day. And a lot of us are juggling, we're balancing life that all we have is 20 minutes. And sometimes we tend to downplay that or say it's not enough. So I love this time and the space that you guys have just given us permission to say it is enough, that we can give ourselves grace, but also be reminded, that whatever it is that we can do is more than enough, right? Just starting and doing those things, I think are going to be so pivotal. But yeah, I just love, I love everything you guys said today. It's so great. There was this one quote I read the other day, and I kind of want to use this to close us out, right? Is nobody is as successful as Instagram makes them look, right? Or our perception thereof. And nobody is as pretty as filters make them seem. And the only healthy, real, and worthwhile comparison is the you yesterday versus the you today. So you'll make real progress when you focus on that. And so my prayer and hope is that to anyone that's listening is that you would just be encouraged to know that you are enough, that God has made you on purpose, right? And that where you are right now is the best place you can be, because right here, right now, you are enough. And if you want to find out more about this health journey, maybe you want to ask Jamil and Vanessa some more questions. I am so excited to tell you guys this because we have been working on this. Is they have a workshop that they're going to be doing through Messy Bun, and we're going to post those dates coming up soon. So if you are not already plugged in, make sure you are subscribed to our email list. You can find out more by going to www.messybunandall.com. I'll make sure that we post some links on the podcast as well. But I want to invite you, pray about it, come out. We are going to go deeper into nutrition kind of what does that look like? What does God say about our health overall? And also the physical part, the exercising. How do we do that properly? How can we start? Like some of us, are walking and we're ready to take it to the next step, right? There are simple things to do. Jamil has some amazing workouts that you can also get. So we're going to link all of that information. I mean, there's going to be so much happening that you don't want to miss. And so I want to invite you to be a part of that journey with us. Come on in. I mean, everything is going to be there. It's going to be accessible. And I'm just so excited that you are on this journey with us. I can already see so many lives being changed and transformed. Because when you do this the right way, right? When you are starting, taking inventory, being accountable, just knowing that you are enough, owning who you are and learning, discovering that there's something I read the other day too, that it said, our life, we don't have just one purpose in life, right? It's ever evolving. And so I am just so grateful, Jamil and Vanessa. If I can just close this out with prayer, I would love to do that and pray for all of our listeners as well. Dear Heavenly Father, God, I just thank you so much for everyone that is here. Thank you for this time that you have just allowed us this space to feel safe and to talk about some things probably that we've kept hidden from others for a very long time, Lord. There are some people here who are really questioning and asking God, what is it, that I can do for my health? Some of us may feel like, hey, we got to keep up with our kids, or we just want to be healthy and feel better. God, I just pray that you would allow us to continue to get on that journey with you, that we would just trust you, that we would allow you to lead, not social media, not the other words, God, but Lord, that we would allow you to take center stage of our lives, God. So thank you for being with us in this space, God, and just thank you for the things that you are revealing to us in this very moment and the growth that is to come, God. We love you and we thank you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, guys, so much.
Thank you. Take
Thank you.
care.
Bye.
Bye.